right, so we are going to continue on with our Unit 4, Day 7 notes. Of course, here, as always, these are our objectives that we're going to be covering today. There are a lot of word problems in this unit day, so get ready. It's a lot of word problems. Again, if you're having issues with Alex, some of these I solve differently from Alex. I don't handle it the same way Alex handles it. So please do not hesitate to contact me, email me if you're having any issues. Maybe I can help you in your Alex. You can share your screen and then we can go over some things. Okay. All right. So a light bulb consumes, I changed 960 to 900. It just makes the answer a little bit more prettier. If it comes out to be a decimal, which the next one does, it's still fine, but I just wanted to show you on the first one, kind of like a quote unquote pretty answer. So hopefully you have printed this out and you can kind of see I'm changing 960 to 900. And it's kind of unclear here, but if you printed it out, you can read it. It says a light bulb consumes 900 watt-hours per day. How long does it take to consume 3,600 watt-hours? So how we will set that one up is it consumes 900 per day. We don't know how many days it's consuming, but it takes basically 3,600 watt-hours to consume an entire light bulb. So in order to, once you have your, once you know how to set up your problem, in order to solve for D to get to how many days, you're just going to divide by 900. Okay, so D here, if you have your calculator or in your brain, you are just going to, and this one, if you have the zeros, only the zeros work here, you can kind of cancel those out. And then now you'll just have 36 divided by 9, which is 4. So 4 days is what you're going to have for the answer there. Oh, so now that we have that answer there, let's go to the next. A car travels at an average speed of 68 miles per hour. How long, so it's basically asking you, what's the hour? How long does it take to travel 255 miles? Got to set that up in the same exact way you just set up the one above it. 68 miles per hour equals 255 miles. And we're looking for how many hours basically. Okay, divide by 68 here, divide by 68. How many hours would it take? I just throw it in my calculator. 255 divided by 68. And your answer is 3.75. So 3.75 hours is your answer there. Okay. All right. Next, Austin drove to the mountains last weekend. There was heavy traffic on the way there, and the trip took 8 hours. Okay. Sorry. When Austin drove home, there was no traffic, and the trip only took 6 hours. If his average rate was 16 miles per hour faster on the trip home, how far away does Austin live from the mountain? Do not do any rounding. Okay, so let's look and try to figure this one out. So his rate there, it looks like it says it took 8 hours at the rate he was going to get to the mountains. Okay, so it says 8 hours is the and whatever rate he was going. Okay, the same trip coming back took 6 hours. So okay, we have 6 hours. If his average rate was 16 miles faster on the trip home, so whatever the rate was on the way home, it was whatever the rate was plus 16 because it was faster on the way home. Now you're basically trying to figure out how far away it is by finding basically the rate, okay? His average rate was 16 miles per hour faster. How far away does Austin live from the mountains? Once you find R, you will find basically the distance. No. I'll show you how to find the distance after you get your answer. Okay? Sorry about that. All right, so but first and foremost, we do need to find rate. So let's do that by distributing the 6 first. So we have 8R equals 6R plus 6 times 16 should give you 96. Okay, let me make sure. 6 times 16, nothing wrong with checking. 96, good. All right, so now I'm going to subtract 6R from both sides because of course I want that R by itself and on the same side of the line. So this becomes 2R equals 96. And then divide by 2, get that R by itself. R is going to be equal to 48. So basically your rate is 48, okay? So we know now he was basically, the rate was 48 miles per hour, let's say that, as he was driving. So the rate was 48 miles per hour. To find the distance, you would basically take, so if our rate was 48 miles an hour and he was driving the 8 hours, you'd say 8 hours times 48 to get the distance, okay? If it takes 8 hours and you're driving 48 miles per hour, how far are you gonna get that in that situation? So your answer would be 384. And let me try that again. 8 times 48, and if you can see it, 384, okay? So 384 would be the answer. But what if I wanted to try here? What if I put rate here instead? So of course he said when he went 6 hours, he was 48. So instead of going 48, he was 16 over the 48. So what I'm going to do is say 6 parentheses, 48 plus 16. All right, 16 in there. And it should give me the same answer, 384. So 384 miles either way. And you can tell by putting the R back into either the top, either the 8 times R, or you can put it in here with the 6 times R plus 16. Okay, either way, it'll give you your answer, 384 as the distance. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, move this out of the way. All right, so this one reads, 2 trains leave stations 442 miles apart at the same time and travel towards each other. One train travels 90 miles per hour, while the other one travels 80 miles per hour. How long will it take for the 2 trains to meet? So you have train A here and train B here. Okay, so I'll put a little dot. And again, we said that they are going to be meeting at a place or another. Okay, this train is basically going that way, and this train is going this way. We know that train, what is it? It said one train, it doesn't matter which train, is going 90, and the other train is going 80. Okay, 90. And then the other train is going 80. And all together, the total miles in between them is 442. Okay, and we are basically, it's 90 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, and then 442. We need to figure out basically when these two are going to meet. So how do we do that? Again, set this up like this. And we're going to combine like terms here. They're on the same side as the equal sign. So we have 90 plus 80. 90 plus 80 should give you 170H equals 442. And then divide by 170. So here, if you put 442 in your calculator and divide that by 170, your answer will be 2.6. And this represents hours. Okay, so basically in 2.6 hours, the two will meet in the middle, and that is how you're going to set up problems of that nature. Okay, good. All right, so now let's look at the next one. And again, we're only doing the starred problems, and it looks like most of them I did do in this section because a lot of these are different. The ones that are kind of alike, I'll let you try those on your own, but in this particular case, these are very much alike, very much different. So I want to make sure that I go over all the ones that are kind of, difficult. All right, so this middle one says, last year, Trey deposited $4,000 into an account and paid 7% interest per year, and $1,000 into an account that paid 4% interest per year. No withdrawals were made from the account. Answer the questions below. So the first question is, what was the total interest earned at the end of the first year? And the second one was, what was the percent interest for the total deposit? Okay, let's figure that one out together. So first and foremost, it says that he deposited $4,000 into an account with a 7% interest. Instead of putting 7%, I'm going to put 0.07. That's what 7% represents when you put it in decimal form. Okay, so I'll have that. And then it says he has $1,000 and it has a 4% in 0.04 there. Okay, so I'm putting those in, and I'm trying to basically see what would be the interest basically when I multiply those. So if I have 4,000 and I multiply it by 0.07, my answer there would be, 4,000 times 0.07, I put the wrong number. All right, 280. So 280 up here. And then 1,000 times 0.04, and again, I'm going to get the answer there. That one would be 40. So what you're going to do with those particular two are add them together. So the interest here is asking you what's the total interest at the end of 1 year. You're basically going to have 280 plus 40. So the total interest of the year looks like it'll be $320. Okay, so this is the interest with the $4,000 one, and this is the interest with the $1,000. When I add them together, I get 320. That would be answer for A. Okay, I put 320 there. All right, so the second one says, what, if you can read it, which is very, very difficult. I'm gonna put this one up so that I can have a little higher. Hopefully you can read it a little bit better. What was the percent interest for the total deposit? So basically the total deposit is going to, first and foremost, you're going to add those together. So you're going to have 4,000 plus 1,000. Okay, so the total deposit looks like it's 5,000. So if the total deposit in this particular situation is 5,000, and the interest we said is, or what is the percent? What was the percent interest for the total deposit? So we know that the interest that we had was 320. We're looking for what is the percentage. If I multiplied whatever percentage by 5,000, I should get 320 as the total interest. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know what the percentage would be here. Okay, so I'm trying to figure that out. How do I figure that out? 5,000 times X, you have to divide by 5,000 on both sides. Okay, so X, or your percentage, would be 320 divided by 5,000. So 0.064. So what would that look like as a percentage? For percentage, If you have a decimal, you can move the decimal over twice, and that'll give you your percentage. 1, 2, the percentage would be 6.4%. So your answer in this one would be 6.4%. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Question. A chemist mixes 500 milliliters of solution that is 62% acid with 125 millimeters of a solution that is 27% acid. So you're answering the questions. How many milliliters of acid and how many milliliters of acid are in the resulting mixture? So I do this kind of different from the way Alex shows you, but you'll still get the answer here, and I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? So first and foremost, any of these type of problems with the solution, I put these little boxes like this, and this should kind of help you. As soon as you see these little, the problems that have percentages of acid and everything, and you have a solution mix and blah, 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 then you're going to, if you put these little boxes, maybe that'll help you, especially if you're doing this same procedures every time, okay? So first and foremost, 500 milliliters, okay, of solution that has a 62%, so 62% is 0.62, okay, right now it's a decimal. And then it says with 125 milliliter solution, and it's 0.27, okay, acid. So we know that the total, okay, the total number between these two, we have 500 and 125. The total number between those two would be 625. So 625 is here. What we don't know, we can't add those two together for the percentage. We do not know the percentage as a result. We do not know what the percentage is, okay? So we are going to always, when you write them in these little boxes, you're going to multiply down. So we'll multiply these two. We'll multiply 0.62. Sorry. Okay. 0.62 times 500, and you'll get 310. So it'll be 310 plus 0.27 times 125 is 33.75 equals, and then you'll have 625x. Okay. Let's add those two together. 310 plus 33.75. And I get 343.75 equals 625x. And of course, if you are, I'm bringing this kind of up here. If you have 625x and 343.75 and you're trying to get x by itself, we have to divide and get this 625 away. Sorry. 625. Okay. X is going to be equal to 343.75 and divide that by 625. We get 0.55. 0.55 represents the percentage. So, like I said, when it's a decimal, move the decimal place over twice to get your percentage. This is going to be 55%. And the percent is asked in B. So we actually have B before we have A. Okay? So we do have B before we have A. And A says how many milliliters of acid are in the resulting mixture. So basically we want to know 55% of 625. So 625 times 0.55 would be what the question is asking. What is 625? What is 55% of 625? You multiply them together, and I'm going to do that. 625 times 0.55. And your answer would be 343.75. And I guess we kind of could have known that from here because we added, when we multiplied these two and added them together, it gave us this, which would be our, I guess I'm going to say our total. But that is our total, and that is our answer for A, for our resulting mixture. This would be the answer. Okay, this would be the basically the how many milliliters of acid are in the resulting mixture. That's our answer. All right. All right. So let's move on to the next word problem. And it says, Jane invested her savings in 2 investment funds. The amount she invested in Fund A was 3 times as much as she invested in Fund B. Fund A returned a 5% profit and Fund B returned 7% profit. How much did she invest in Fund B if the total profit from the 2 funds together was $1,760? Okay, so let's say this is Fund A and this one is Fund B. Okay, so it says 3 times as much as she invested in Fund B. So I know Fund B would just be a small b, but it says in Fund A, she invested 3 times as much as she invested in Fund B. So that would be our Fund A, 3 times as much as she invested in Fund B. And it says Fund A returned 5% profit, so 0.05 here. And Fund B is 7%, 0.07 there. I'm going to add those two. Altogether, it was $1,760. Okay. So let me multiply that. 3 times 0.05. 3 times 0.05. And that'll be 0.15B plus 0.07B equals 1760. 0.15 plus 0.07, and you should know that we are combining like terms. They're on the same side of the equal sign. We're combining like terms as opposed to going on the other side. Okay, when I combine like terms, I got 0.22, 0.22B equals 1760. To get B by itself, divide both sides by 0.22. B in this case is going to be, let's see, 1760 divided by 0.22. 8,000. Wow, you didn't think it was going to do that, huh? 8,000 is B. Basically, 8,000 is your $8,000 would be Fund B, and it's asking you how much did she invest in Fund B, and that would be your answer. So you don't have to go any further. All right, if they ask you for Fund A, you would have to multiply 3 times 8,000 to get what she invested in Fund A. All right, but they asked you for B in that case, so you only need to be $8,000. All right, let's look at the next one. 2 factory plants are making TV panels. Yesterday, Plant A produced 12,000 panels, 5% of the panels from Plant A and 2% of the panels from Plant B were defective. How many panels did Plant B produce if the overall percentage of defective panels of the plants was 4%? This one is kind of like the one we did with the percentage of solutions. So let's look at it, okay? So let's say Plant A, and this is Plant B, and of course the last one is together. So it says Plant A produced 12,000 panels, okay? Oh, 12,000 panels, yes. And 5% of the panels from plant A, so 0.05%, and 2%, 0.02 of plant B were defective. We don't know how many plant B produced altogether, okay? How many panels did plant B produce? We don't know. If the overall percentage of the defective plant panels from the two plants was 4%, so 4% from the two, okay? Now, in order to get this bottom number, like we did before, if you remember, let me try to find the, here, where was it that I had it? Okay, right here. Sorry. Remember that I'm looking back to this one, if you remember. All right, so in order to get this number here, we had to add 500 and 125. That's how we got 625 here, okay? This number is not adding these two. Those two is not the same thing, okay? So, but to get this number here, we have to add these two. So in the same vein, in the same situation here, we have to add 1,200. We don't know what X is. So this particular section right here would basically be 12,000 plus X, because in order to get this number, we're supposed to add these two, but we don't know what X is, okay? So 12,000 plus X would give you this number here. So now, just like we did before, we have to multiply those. So if I multiply 12,000 times 0.05, 12,000 times 0.05 gives me 600 plus 0.02x, because I don't know what x is. And then I have to multiply 0.04 times both of these, 12,000 plus x. Okay. Eventually, what I'm going to have to do here to solve, I'm going to have to distribute. Okay. 600 plus 0.02x equals 0.04 times 12,000. Okay, 480 plus 0.04x. There, right? Now I'm going to get the x's on the same side because these are on two different sides. Okay. So the x's are on two different sides, and then this 600 goes on the same side. And we've been doing this enough. So hopefully in the other days, so that you understand what's going on there, okay? So when that becomes, when I subtract, it becomes 0.02x equals negative 120, I think. Yeah, negative 120. All right, so then I'm going to divide by negative 0.02, divide by negative 0.02. Our x value is going to be, you see, negative 120 divided by negative 0.02. 6,000. Okay, so the question was, how many panels did plant B produce? They produced 6,000. Okay, 6,000. And together it would be, if you had to answer like how many did they produce together, it'd be 6,000 plus 12,000. Okay, so basically 18,000, but they're not asking you that. They're asking how many did plant B produce, and that's what we found when we found X. All right, this right here is the total. Okay, next. Brian is participating in a 6-day, that's important, 6-day cross-country biking challenge. He bikes 53, 59, 67, 64, and 57 miles on the first 5 days. How many miles does he need to bike on the last day so that his average, okay, that's an important, average is 59 per day. So for this particular one, it's a 6-day situation, but you're given the 5 different days, 53 plus 59 plus 67 plus 64 plus 54. What you don't know is what that sixth day is. Okay. Also, you have to understand with averages, if you add them all together and divide by how many days you need, which is 6, your answer is going to be the average or the mean. And in this case, we want the average to be 59. Okay. How do we get it to be 59? We don't know what that x is. That x has to be something in order for this to come out to be true. We need to figure this all out. How do we do it? First and foremost, there's multiple ways to do this. I would start by adding all of those numbers here. So let's do that. Okay, that's how I would start. Again, this is not like set in stone. You can do this in multiple ways, but this is to me the way I would solve it. 64 plus 54. Enter. 297. So 297 plus x over 6 equals 59. In order to get rid of that, I'd have to get rid of this first because they're both on top. So I have to get rid of this 6 first. But if I multiply by 6 here, I got to multiply by 6 there. This now becomes, I'm moving this over here, 297 plus x equals 59 times 6, 354, and then you'd subtract 297 here. So x is going to be equal to 354 minus 297, 57. Okay. So basically, he will need to bike at least 57 miles in order to average the 59 that he wants. Okay. All right, there's no star here. This one is exactly like that. Go ahead and try that on your own. The key will be on uploaded into Canvas in unit 4, module 4 for unit 4, day 7 notes. It'll say key. All right. So here, C is less than, so you do need to know your less than. Okay. And then this one is greater than. Okay, that's important. Less than, greater than, and then you have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, okay? Those are important. So if it says C is less than 9, that's how it would be written if you had to write that out. The next one, the sum of 4 and x is at least. That is something that you do need to pay attention to, probably something you should write down. If you have at least, okay, basically you're going to have greater than or equal to. Okay, so that's something that you do really need to know. It's something that even trips me up at times. So when you see at least, go ahead and make it greater than or equal to. So it says the sum of 4 and x, 4 plus x, is at least. So I know I'm going to be greater than or equal to negative 22. And that would be my answer there. Okay. All right, down here, the distance to the nearest exit door is no more than, okay? So when you see no more than, go ahead and put less than or equal to. Okay, and again, these are just like really good rules of thumb. If you see it, then you can put it, and as soon as you start to get the hang of it, it won't be as difficult. Okay, the distance to the nearest exit door is no more than 100 feet. So basically, the distance is less than or equal to 100 feet. Okay. Next one, to qualify for the championship, the runner must complete a race in less than. So he must complete, his time must be less than 45 minutes. Okay. If it wants you to graph the inequality on Alex, please make sure you're paying attention to the instructions on that. Usually what I would say for these, if the arrow is going to face the way that the inequality is, if the letter is on the correct side. okay? You see how this letter is here? It's going to look like an arrow. It's going to look like an arrow at -9. It's going to look like an arrow. And if you see here, it's going to be closed because it has a line under it. It's going to look like an arrow going that way. Okay? If it's facing that way, it's going to kind of look like an arrow going that way. And the reason why it has a line under it, that's how it's closed. In this case, again, at 2, you see the B is on the left-hand side, that means it's correct, 2, then it's going to be open, no line under, it's going to be open, and it's going to look like an arrow going that way. All right, that's what makes it easy for me to see. If it's that way, it looks like an arrow. If it's, again, this way, it looks like an arrow going that way. All right. And finally, the last little bit, if I can find it. I have like a lot of different sheets over here. Okay. All right. So, and finally, for this particular one, again, it's kind of like what I said. So if you have X for your variable, your number here is -2. As you can see, it's open, so it's no line under. And it looks like an arrow going this way. So your inequality is going to look like that. This is the arrow. This is the way your inequality is going to look. Okay. Same thing here. X, the number is 4. We know it's going to have a line under it. It's going to look like an arrow going that way. So mine is going to be less than. Okay. This one is greater than because it looks like an arrow going whichever way that arrow is going. That's the way your inequality is going to look. Okay. That's how I would show my students when I taught this before, and it worked pretty well. All right, that'll be it for this day or unit, day 7, unit 4.